I read the Hurricane Milton is now only a Cat 3. Will that mean it won't be as devastating? It's probably still going to be bad. The forecast was already anticipating Milton to be a Category 3 or 4 at landfall. Based on reports and radar, the eye wall opened up, so places may not have gotten the right eye wall that usually causes the worst damage. Katrina was a Category 3 when it made landfall. They always lower as they get close to land. So yes, being a Cat 3 means it will be less devastating than it would be if it were still a Cat 4 or Cat 5. But no, the predictions always were for it to be a Cat 3 at landfall. See Sarasota Herald Tribune predictions, so that means current predictions are the same as previous predictions of devastation. Cat is just the measure of wind speed, so many other factors go into damage. For instance, a Cat 1 can cause massive damage, but in a way you wouldn't think about without someone explaining it. Before Cat 1 storm makes landfall, the weeks before, a few depressions roll through: storm, rain, flooding. Ground is saturated. Ground is soft. Very wet. Cat 1 comes strolling through. Rain has nowhere to go. All grounds are saturated with water, so the water floods and runs really fast this time. Roads get blocks. Homes flooded. There is nowhere for the water to go. Ground is very soft too and super saturated with water. Now a 60 mph gust will knock trees down, which take down power lines or destroy roofs. If the previous weeks were dry ones, none of this would happen. Harvey dumped 51 inches of rain on my roof in 24 hours, and it was a Cat 1. That storm did more damage to the region than most Cat 5s. The speed the storm passes will matter here. Edit, Cat 1 at the time. It was stronger over the Gulf. They always said it's going to be a Cat 3 on landfall. A Cat 3 storm is a major storm. There will be many tornadoes. The amount of water being dropped on Florida is insane. Not really, it's a difference of a few miles per hour when the wind speed is above 100 mph. If the Waffle Houses are still open, it isn't an emergency. The categories are not so much defined by wind speed, I mean they are, but stay with me. They chose the wind speeds based on the damage they would cause. That's why there's no reason to create a Category 6 if Cat 5 hurricanes are becoming more frequent. It doesn't matter how frequent they are if all of the storms cause Cat 5 level devastation. They are still Cat 5. Short explanation of the scale out of the way. I would assume that the areas hit by it when it is a Category 3 will receive Category 3 levels of damage. This of course doesn't account for storm surge, tornadoes that might spawn, chain reaction events like if a levee breaks. Don't forget that Hurricane Katrina weakened to a Category 3 before it made landfall. By all accounts of my friends and neighbors who stood behind, they survived the storm pretty easily. But then shortly later, the levee broke and then the devastation. Something like that is always possible and why you should evacuate if you can. One aspect that people don't often discuss or realize during hurricanes is that trees are so much more vulnerable and likely to fall compared to normal thunderstorms. Trees will build up their roots to protect itself from wind. So the normal direction of storms, the tree can withstand strong winds. When hurricanes come through, they generally come from a different direction than normal thunderstorms. Since trees built up roots mostly on one side, the other side is vulnerable, and even tropical storm gusts can topple thousands of trees like nothing. Most of the deaths during Helene were people killed when trees fell on their houses. I wish the people of Florida the best during Milton. Only a Cat 3. The storm might be just as bad or worse than Katrina. The main reason Katrina was so devastating is because the city of New Orleans is technically below sea level. Pretty much anything above a Cat 2 can be devastating. There are a lot of variables. Sandy was a tropical storm by the time it landed, and it was still devastating. Katrina was a Category 3 at landfall as well. I mean yes, but it's still gonna be real bad. Devastating to the coastline. There was never much of a chance of mass devastation to Central FL. It means the sustained wind speed isn't 180 mph anymore, more like 120 mph. I'm in Pinellas. It's not looking good. I'm fortunate to have power and internet, but we're not in a flood zone and I was still bucketing water.